Dr. Flo, we have no sound on you. Welcome, everybody, to Love and Truth Live with Dr. Flo. I'm going to let him figure out his mic. Most of you know me. I'm Tara Priolo. I am from Tara Priolo Studio. I'm your resident Black, biracial, multi-passionate musician. I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about, and I am connected to this particular episode because Dr. Flo and Kenrick are both located in Lexington, North Carolina, and I care deeply as I am in my 4th year of working with this man, Dr. Flo. 4th year. We might give or take a few days, y'all. We don't know exact dates, okay? But I'll toss it to Dr. Flo. Hopefully that mic is working now and he'll take it.
Oh my goodness. We had Mike all the way to the countdown, and then she said, "Goodbye, Dr. Flo. Good riddance." Dr. Flo, online coach and mentor. Not telling you what I heard, but what I know. What I know is that you're loved and lovable. You've always been loved and lovable. You're always going to be loved and lovable for the rest of your life. We in Love in Action Network encourage, equip, and empower people to live their best version of themselves by applying their time, talent, and treasure and putting love into action. And for the next 30 to 35 minutes of our time together with a special guest host today, who we hope continually comes back to share his love and truth, we're going to be simply doing that, talking a lot about love for what we do, love for ourselves, love for our communities and the people around us, and also a sprinkle, if not a huge helping of truth, because according to certain ancient texts, Tara and Kenrick, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so for the next 35 minutes, if we're talking about love and truth, then we're also going to be talking about freedom. Tara's going to be free. This gentleman who's about to introduce himself to you is going to be free. And we're going to just see how we go down the river of life talking about love and truth and the things we're passionate about. Not only in Lexington, North Carolina, but in New York City and Minnesota and beyond. All right. Who is Kenrick Jobe?
Hey, y'all. I just want to thank y'all for having me on the show. I am 30 years old now, officially. I was born in Summit, New Jersey, grew up in South Orange, New Jersey, and then I moved down when I was about 12 years old to Lexington. So, I'm a big fan of the city. I really want to start off by making sure that I say, this isn't about trying to destroy anyone. This is about progress. This is about us trying to move forward and make something positive out of the situation. I want to grow with them. I want to work with them. I don't want to bring negativity to Arts Davidson County, but I do want to make sure that I let them know, it's important that we take action. It's time to start doing things that will help our community more. There's people that are struggling, and it's just one of those things that I'm passionate about. So I thank you, and that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I've been here since I went to Lexington High School, and then I went to East Carolina University. I'm a full-time visual artist now, so I draw and I paint. Like right now, I'm surrounded by a bunch of canvases and stuff like that. So it's what I love to do. I'm completely devoted to it. So it's like now I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm ready to spread that feeling to other people. So it's like, I feel like there's a lot of people that would want to tap into that side of them, just don't really know how to or don't have the means to. So it's like I want to be able to help people like that, especially younger people.
Absolutely. And we are partnering with Kenrick and the whole community in order to help lift art up and out of the hearts of the people. It's so important to be able to tell our stories in these ways. Okay, so we want to talk first about space and support. What kinds of space and support did you find yourself needing over the last few years in the city?
Space and support. I think that this is a great topic, both of them. Space, starting with space, I feel like uh, as an artist, a lot of people need somewhere to go that isn't home, but that they can connect with other artists and feel welcomed. Uh, and I'm not just talking, when I say artist, I'm not just talking about my form of art. Art spans in out in so many different ways. I'm talking about musicians. I'm talking about filmmakers. I'm talking about uh, you know performative art, actors. It's all kind of stuff going on out here. But it's like there's a lot of people that are doing these things and wanna do them like even more, but they feel like they can't because of where they are. So I feel like we have this space here in Lexington. We're just not using it the way we could be, and I don't understand why that is. You know what I mean? We have the population. Like I'm so passionate about like different cultures and stuff like that. I love the fact that we have a multicultural festival every year. I'm talking about um, uh, Haitian people. I'm talking about Mexican people. I'm talking about Salvadorian people. Like there's a bunch of populations right here in the county that need a place to go sing, go dance, go paint, and feel welcomed. Like like we don't. I'm not talking about a country club. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about doing something that like really like include. There's people that are hungry, literally and figuratively. You know what I mean? It's like people are struggling. We want to create a space that is welcoming and can bring people like that out of misery, even if it's just for a little bit. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
And what kind of support do you think the community's artists are craving right now? What kind of support would really, and what kinds of people would be standing up for an artist in Davidson County right now in the ways that you and I both need?
That's a good question. I think about things like that, and I'm like, I'm not really sure exactly what the answer is exactly. You know, Obviously it starts financially. You know, grants, um, donors, being able to tap in with people who have the resources that can give back to these communities and whatnot. I go to a church uh, that is called Grace Church here in Lexington, and I've been going for quite a few different months, and I love my pastor. So in that space, like I feel like they feed the homeless like every week. So I feel like a lot more people can do stuff like that. But I'm not just talking about the homeless. I'm talking about less fortunate communities. Like you know what I'm talking about. The kids.
Yeah, I do. Underserved populations,
Yeah,
people who deserve, but they're
yeah,
underserved. They're
yes,
underserved. It's just they've always been deserving. They're just not being served. Even the
yeah.
free opportunities, and there's a lack of commitment to being connected enough in community
Hmm.
and leadership to
Right,
actually meet those needs.
right, right. Exactly.
Okay,
And that
and also okay.
I thank you. Like I want to thank you because it's one of those things. Like I've always been passionate about it, but it's almost like I lost a little bit of a flair, a little bit, because after a while you get dinged up, and after a while you get to the point where it's just like, oh man, like maybe I should just focus on what it is that I'm doing and not really, you know what I mean, like think about others as much. And I definitely feel like once I started tapping in with you more, like it's just been like an energy you and Tara is like uh I want to say thank you to both of you because it's like it's good to know that I'm not alone in how I'm viewing things, and and how I want more for our communities. You know, like, I think it's just so important. These Spanish speaking communities, especially right now, you know what's going on politically. It's a weird climate with all kinds of stuff going on. So it's like I just feel like we could not lose having a space that's not a church, where we can just bring people and whatever it is that they're into and whatever it is that they come from, they can feel welcomed and express themselves, and get a space where, like, they can reach other people, like have a platform, because some people don't have the apps. You know what I mean? They don't have, they're not doing all these different kind of things in order to gain revenue and whatnot. So it's like, I'm thinking, why don't we try and help more people? I feel like that's the focus, you know.
Do you think that competitive vibes have gotten in the ways of helping the people? And what have you seen in your time of trying to build and help about the competitive vibes in the community that kind of pushes everybody to the edges of the room?
Dr. Flo, I think it's a shame, but human nature has led me to believe, and it's in me too, yes, that competitive spirit gets in the way. That ego, I think a lot of things are come down to that. It gets in the way of helping other people that might be, that are definitely strong. I went to a school, uh Lexington High School, and I made amazing friends there, and I love the people that I went to school with, you know, and but the thing is, I got to see a lot of students that were struggling, like, and I knew that they were, and I couldn't help them the way that I wanted to, so I feel like now where I feel like I'm in a position where I'm confident enough to at least speak up for those populations, because it's like, these days those kind of people need more loving, because it's like, uh um the country club is already thriving. You know what I mean? Like, the country club is already thriving, they've got
They
it.
already have money. They already have money. They
they
already
they,
have the resources.
they got it, and it's like, and that's part of the reason why I love my church so much, because I truly feel like these people that I've gotten to know, like, it's really not about that with them, but it's rare to find that. Like, it's like, you know these people are just so giving, but it's like, for the most part, it's this country club mentality where it's like, okay, we want this group of people, and we want it to look this kind of way. And I'm like, it should not be that way. Like, there's too many Indian people in the area. There's too many Palestinian. There's too many people from all kinds of places that are literally sitting at home frustrated because they don't have nowhere that they can go and express themselves and have fun. Like,
Take pride in their culture and who they are.
right, right.
Well, Tara, pivoting to you, what have you noticed from the wonderful thing about Tara Praolo as our managing operating partner in Love and Action Network is that she gets a 40,000-foot view of, like, the entire situation. What have you noticed from the outside looking in, undisturbed, unpushed by Kenrick and I? What have you seen so far in your assessment as a strategist about the vibes of competition between the arts organizations and the social justice organizations in this zip code?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fairly common circular conversation that happens in almost every space. So, for those of you, I don't talk about it a lot, but I'm based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's my child. For those of you that this is your first time tuning in, it's my child Piper. I don't discourage the talking because we don't discourage the talking. We want
We
loud
never stop
people
a
in here.
soul from
Loud
expressing
people in here.
themselves.
So if you see my computer going down like this, it is because my child is trying to talk to you all. Anyway, so here in Minneapolis, we joke that there is a choir on every corner and an opera company on every corner. And there's just a lot of arts happening in Minneapolis. We got Walker Arts down the street. Like, we got the state fair is full of it. Like, we have arts. And yet most artists here, I would say, feel alone or feel like they're in competition with each other. And it's kind of a very similar thing that I notice about Lexington and spaces that are smaller, or cities that are smaller than Minneapolis, which is, y'all know, Minneapolis, St. Paul is like 1 million people, million people plus. And so it's one of those things where instead of coming together and trying to build something that's bigger and serves more people, the instinct is to turn away, right? The instinct is to run. The instinct is, well, we're saddled with what we're saddled with, and we're tackling the one issue that we're tackling while simultaneously forgetting all about intersectionality and how we can usually help each other more than we need to compete with each other, right? So I see that, and I see the running. That's the thing. That's the one, like, I feel like in my zip code, people, they don't run, they just fight. Like, they fight over the resources, right? Because there isn't enough resources here. But I don't think that is the truth in Lexington. I see people notice people and then actively run from those people, or actively not respond to those people, or actively just sort of like maneuver around instead of trying to see what need can be met by both and then moving forward with that need.
Yeah, there could be a moment of caretaking and the ownership of bridging the person to the resources. My experience is that Kenrick and I want to do some amazing radical things for the heart of arts and for the heart of love. And the people that I've been asking to do these things, they don't want to necessarily do it themselves, but they don't want me to do it better. And that's what the competitive vibe feels like for me. It's kind of like, I'm like, yo, I would show up every day and teach a choir how to sing. And I would show up every day and feed the people. Like, I would show up tonight and feed people and sing some happy songs. I know you would show up tonight and paint and put a brush in the hands of a young person and say, have you ever seen a wide, now I'm trying to talk in your lane, the wide brush versus the thin brush. I'm making it up. That's why you got to be there, because I'm not a painter. I'm not a painter. But instead of having those programs and those doors open tonight, we're having to gather together online to tell our stories, so that hopefully the doors will open to people who take us serious about the fact that, like, we see the empty buildings, we see the lights turned off, and we're trying to turn the lights on for a lot of the 19,000 people here, and you can't stand in our way anymore. Speaking of standing in the way and closed doors, we've been chasing this story for over a month or two in Love and Action Network. And I had a run-in with this organization years ago, but I didn't know that I had a light on the inside in Kenrick the whole time, and that his light was about to be, they were going to, listen, I'm a good little light of, this little light of mine. I said, good little light, Tara. This good little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And they tried to put Kenrick Shiny under a bushel. No, we're going to let it shine. And so Kenrick was a light in this space the whole time, or at least seeking to be a light in the space. And let's just start with, how did you even come to know about Arts of Davidson County as an artist here?
Well, originally I learned about it through a friend, a local friend that I went to school with, and it's an art organization, so it's like they've been around for quite some time, and they've done a lot of good. They've also went through a whole lot of struggle finding a place to work out of. I originally was part of it. I don't know exactly what year it was. I want to say it was like 2018. Maybe 2018, 2019, something. It was before 2020, and I was part of it for a while, and then I ended up not being a part of it anymore. Just deciding to focus on my career and what it is I was doing moving forward. And then I was approached by a current board member, that she wanted me to be part of it again. So I became part of it again. I want to say the year 2020, or maybe 2021. It was probably 2021. I got the years mixed up, but it's been quite some time, right? So I joined again, and this go around I felt really good about it. There was a lot of different people that was part of the board, like people from Lexington Youth Theater. I'm a big fan of them, and I definitely want to shout them out. There was a couple of board members from Lexington Live, incredible talents there. I shout out to Neil Shepherd, great singer. You would like him.
Okay,
So
Neil.
yeah, Neil is. I think his last name is Shepherd, but yeah, his name is Neil. Great guy, and I can introduce y'all. But yeah, it's so and so we. It was like a team effort, and honestly, I felt incredible with them, and once we got into the building and it was Arts 202, it's just, it's I guess you could say, like, still like uh wet behind the ears, you know what I mean, if that's what the phrase is. I'm excited, I'm back part of it again, because like, art is my life, and it really always has been when I think about it. So it's like, I anything that has to do with the arts, like, I'm excited to be a part of it. So uh this person, I'm not really trying to name drop exactly who it is, but it's like, this person that I really grew to care about and whatnot. She took me under her wing for a lot of things, and put me up front to do a lot, and I learned a lot, and started pushing. So it's like, I would go to different schools and stuff like that. And every single time I would visit a school, I would mention Arts Davidson County. I'm talking about, wherever, Lexington High School or East Davidson or wherever. It's like, hey, I'm part of a nonprofit called Arts Davidson County, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Like, y'all check us out. We're at this building. I'm advocating for it. Actively. So after a while, I fell on, like, some hard times, in my life or whatnot, and I wasn't able to really, like, go to meetings and whatnot. So I made it clear, like, I might not be able to go to the meeting, but I'm always available on the phone. Like, you can always call me and put me on speakerphone or whatever, and have me a part of the meeting or whatnot. And over time, it just seemed like the effort on their part just wasn't really there at all. So, like, I'm pushing consistently, just trying to get more people aware of what's going on here in the area, because the thing is, Lexington is incredible. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's like, saying something like that to some people might sound like, what are you talking about? But it's like, it's literally like, I'm not who I am without Lexington. So it's like, I can't, I'm not about to diss the city at all. I can't. But at the same time, like, there's ways that we can grow. And it's like, I'm 30 years old now. I done lost a couple of different people in my life or whatnot at this point. I'm looking at it like, I'm like, yeah, clearly I'm not going to be around forever. That's real, and I see that. So it's like, all right, while I'm here, I want to be able to not be the person that just like sat back and let things be the way that it was when I knew there's a bunch of Indian, Native American, Black, poverty-stricken white people, all kinds of people that need a voice. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, and they're there. It's not like I'm imagining them or I'm watching TV or something like that. Like literally, we could go. They're there. So it's like,
We've met these people face to
yeah,
face.
yes, and I'm not just talking about the people that live in the forest, because that's in every county that I know of. But yeah, there's people living in the forest. I'm not just talking about the people living in the forest. I'm talking about the mom that's just struggling, trying to have her kids like stay on the right path. You know what I mean? Those kids need somewhere to go. Like a lot of these kids turn into the streets because they're bored. That's really the reality. So it's like, like, why don't we give them a space? Arts Davidson County can be that. Like, I don't. The thing about me is like, the last thing I want people to try and do, and I know they're gonna try to do it because this is starting to get some coverage and whatnot. But it's like, it's about growth. Like, I'm realizing, I'm like, man, like, this community is incredible. Like, I'm like, I wanna
Yes,
I wanna help.
it,
Don't
you,
wanna
you
I
are gonna you
drama and
are
all.
gonna help.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, sorry, and you took us out a few seconds ago because there are, Tara, here people. It took me aback too when he said the people of the forest. I literally was in a sci-fi movie somewhere like Avatar.
I was straight in Game of Thrones. The tree.
Uh,
The tree that they all go under. The
I,
children, the original children
original children of the forest.
of the
I said,
forest.
dear God, we're in a movie. But he's talking about the people who live in the tent city parts of the forest, like on the outskirts of all kinds of towns. And they deserve our love too. And the projects that we're doing artistically are going to bring that into focus because there's such an importance in speaking up. And the reason why we wanted to talk about Arts of Davidson County in conjunction with speaking up is because recently it is my understanding that Kenrick began to understand that they were not going to help him, even though he was a board member. They were not going to aid him in rising as an emerging artist here, and they were not going to help any artist who was not in their country club, in crowd, and clique. And so enter Dr. Flo and Love
I
and
wouldn't
Action Network.
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Okay. Okay.
I would say I would say there's a chance certain people got lost in the sauce. So they were there, like I said, I've been there for a
Keep
while.
going.
I saw a lot of people come and go, I was there, and
Why do you think they got lost in the sauce?
I seen the good that they've done, and I've heard about the good that they did before I was there, you know.
Yeah.
But I think now resources are a little tighter, things might be happening behind the scenes that I don't know about. And the focus of growing and advocating for the arts community might be getting foggy, might be blurred right now.
Foggy, very foggy. Foggy enough for you to receive an email one morning telling you that a private meeting had been called under your name and you would no longer be serving on the board there. Why do you think that happened and how did it make you feel?
I think it happened because I got a little bit too mouthy online.
Mouthy about what, brother?
mouthy about what more we could do for our Black and brown community. It's more specifically kids. I think
Yeah.
the reason why I'm able to do what it is that I do is mainly because of my parents. You know, uh, I got started young, and my mom and dad was never on something like, "Oh, nah, you can't do that." They let me draw, and then drawing turned to coloring, and coloring turned to paint, and so on. But I needed that. I needed that at the beginning in order to become what it is that I am. Um, we have the opportunity to be that for a lot of these younger people in the community, and I feel like they're in a position. Arts Davidson County is in a position to do that a whole lot more, and they're acting.
How long I'm sorry not to interrupt, but how long had you been pointing? And like, I met you, I was introduced to you through Internet Kerr of Davidson Local, and
Yeah,
she was like, that's an emerging artist in the community that you might want to meet.
yeah, yeah.
And when I came upon your public post,
Shout out to
you had
Internet.
already been, shout out to her, yes indeed. When I came upon your post, you were tagging no less than 16 organizations, including her. So how long had you been pointing to this like desire for more?
How long?
Yeah, before I found your post.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
You've been
On
asking for more from the community for a couple of years.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't say, the community. I'd say the organization, because the organization, that's what the purpose of the organization is. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the arts community. Uh, and I'm not just talking about the people that can afford to do the paintings or whatnot. I want to get the paintings in the hands of the people that can't afford that don't know nothing
I hear
about
you,
that.
brother.
You know what I mean?
You're talking about being resourced enough and contributed to enough to have construction paper in the little cellophane packets and the little paint trays
Yeah,
with the little, each kid
yeah,
gets their own little red, yellow,
right,
green, and
right, exactly.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So you began to speak up for more, and I believe you did. And I found you in your power asking for more. And I saw you being ignored, which was very similar to my experience here. And I was working on speaking up in collaboration with Tara in Love and Action Network. Because she's like, you're going to have to speak up more, Flo. You're going to have to like find people. You got to talk to people. I was like, oh, I don't really want to talk to people, but I guess I will. And so then I find you. And at the same time that you're being ignored, they see you asking. And then we wake up one morning, and because of your advocacy for Black and brown artists, including me in the community, they say that you violated the bylaws. And in a closed session, when you were not present, they said, off with your head. That's what we're calling out here, folks, in this moment. Because it's important that you all know that he was told that all of his work would dry up in that moment. But also, he asked to at least be able to speak on his own behalf and the behalf of the community in an open forum to remedy the situation that's still a problem and a challenge in this community. He was told that there would be an open session for open grievances, and just recently received an email saying that I guess the bylaws have changed, y'all, because the meeting's no longer open.
Yes, sir.
It's closed.
Yes, sir.
And we see this. Tara, what do you know about nonprofits and this kind of isolation tactic?
Hi. Some of you may know me as the girl in Minneapolis who accidentally, it was accidentally because I didn't want to shut them down, but accidentally shut down a opera company while being on their board. for being transphobic. I am that girl. I have been there. I did not get fired from the board. I ended up stepping down from the board, which effectively sort of destroyed the company.
He didn't get fired either. To be very clear, he was ousted in the night.
Right. So we've talked about a lot of things. Kenrick before was talking about lifting voice, like young people's voices. And Dr. Flo, you touched on access and education. And I do believe that nonprofits primarily start because they want to rectify and fill a gap of access, education, or funding. It's usually one of those three things. And typically we see a lot of this in the arts, right? And so part of the issue, and Adrienne Maree Brown, who's one of our favorite authors, those of you that watch us all the time know this, Adrienne Maree Brown in Emergent Strategy talks an awful lot about the ways in which our current structures, our current activist structures, our current nonprofits, our current corporations all work in the same facet. Like we are recreating the same thing and calling it something different. So oftentimes what happens in boards is that they choose to go inward, and this happens in nonprofits, art spaces. They choose to go inward and close off the conversation instead of being open and transparent. And that's really what we're talking about here, is that there is a lack of transparency, and the transparency is the thing that's going to change. I said this somewhere in regards to the current climate. Kenrick was referring to the current climate at the beginning of this podcast, of our country, really, right? And it's in an effort to, I think, they think they're protecting themselves by blocking, because we also know that Kenrick has been blocked by multiple organizations. Dr. Flo has been blocked by organizations and people. Like, just
there are people in this community that want Kenrick to get a taste of his own medicine. They want him to each one teach one. What was the quote from Madame Royale, that he would need to he was either part of the problem. Kenrick was like, child, he's either part of the problem or part of the solution. And the man is saying, I want to be a solution in my unique and authentic way. I want to give my gift, not yours, Tina. I want to give my gift, not yours, Tara. I want to show up and be realized as myself, as a creative man in the world. This thing got personal for me because I see myself in Kenrick in that, like, how dare you block me from my blessings because you don't want to be my friend or whatever. That's weird.
And let me add here another quote that I think applies, that we learned last year, that we've latched onto, that we're not building a cult. This is why we talk about this all the time, but a movement, folks, which is what I earnestly believe most nonprofits and most people that are leaders in communities and most people trying to rectify the situations that we are in, right, due to capitalism, white supremacy, white mediocrity, white nationalism, whatever you want to call it, and colonialism, right, that boards.
Take your time, Pastor.
Take your time. Y'all, if you are on a board, you are not doing anything in thought leadership if all of you think the same and are moving in the same direction. That is not a board. That is a cult. That is weird. And I have seen it time and time and time and time and time again. Everybody just falls in line.
And the woman that he won't name, because Kenrick has a kind and gentle heart, y'all.
Very gentle.
He really has a very kind and gentle heart on Pride Rock, and I love it here. And he's going to make me the softer side of Sears as well eventually. Tara, tell him he's got a few years to keep cracking at the nut. But
we've been working for 4 years.
Her name, Voldemort herself, is Amanda Feliciano. This is public stuff, and she brought him into this space to be the face of diversity for one of the largest arts grants in the entire state of North Carolina by record. over $100,000, and then chose to ignore because that's what the status quo allows. No, Tara. No,
Right.
no. You cannot use us for the photo op. They always had his beautiful black ass. No Diddy. They always had his beautiful black ass in the front of the shots. Right? And then when he asked for a little bit of room to give open access and art to the people, I entered the scene with them just not responding at all to a tag on Facebook. Like, who else are you ignoring while telling your grantors and your funders that you're taking care of the need?
And this is another thing that I see with nonprofits an awful lot. And when I was building a fellowship with an organization here, one of the things that I kept coming up against from the white leaders in that organization was like, well, we can't do it that way. Right. And it has to be in this specific vein. And Kenrick is thinking outside the box. Kenrick is wanting to do in the same way that Dr. Flo is thinking outside the box and wanting to do daily organizing and wanting to do daily community events and wanting to have a daily choir and wanting to have daily improv and wanting to do daily painting sessions and playing crosswords together and doing all of that. Right. Like one of the main issues of leaders in nonprofits, this is a generalization, y'all. So those of you out there that are like, my nonprofit doesn't do this. First of all, why are you arguing with me? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Second of all, most of you do this, which is you decide that access looks one way and you have never actually spoken to the people that need the access. You have never gone to the community. You have never talked to the Black opera singers. You have never talked to the Black musical theater people. You have never talked to the Black painters. You have never talked to the children. Okay, this is why I teach young children, right? There's a bunch of people in town that won't teach kids. I talk to the kids because the kids tell me what they need. So if you're not interested in figuring out what access means to people like Kenrick who are asking for more, what access means to a Dr. Flo who is looking to build a love revival, what access means to people like me who are looking to blacken the canon, then you have no business running a nonprofit and calling it filling a gap that you perceive needs to be filled, because you're not talking with the people that you proclaim to be building community with. That's not community. Once again, that's a cult. Thinking differently and moving in the same direction is the movement that you all want to create.
And furthermore, Tara, we should not be put in a situation, Kenrick, you and I, where we're having to burn up people's phones and chase them down the street. They try to make it look like I'm harassing people here for texting them to build something beautiful. I'm not harassing you, and you're not gonna paint that that optic. And while we're here, Tara, I'm gonna just announce it, Tara. We're about to jump off of, I'll keep it running because I'm going to support every Black man and Black person and every human that's loved and lovable. I don't have those kinds of problems in trying to divide people and white mama versus Black mama. So I'm going to keep talking for Charles McNair, but I'm distancing myself from that organization, Justice for Charles McNair, in this town. And the reason why I'm announcing that here is because I'm sick of chasing y'all to help with what you want. I'm tired of this idea that Dr. Flo is arrogant and full of himself and like he just text. I'm texting you for a reason to like help heal the community. So that email's going out. I'm gonna CC Tara where it's like, yo, here's the website already built. Here's how we tried to help. But don't try to flip it on the artists and the activists that we're disagreeable. Or they said all kinds of crazy things about Kenrick on my way to him. They did not want us to connect with the man standing outside the courthouse just making beautiful art. And the character assassination is what we're here to actually clear up. Kenrick has always been able to speak up for himself and his passions, and so have I been. And we're not going to let y'all, Wanda, I think Tanya's cool, maybe, We're not gonna let Pastor Suba, none of y'all, Tina, nobody, Caitlin, nobody is gonna tell us what our great I am is. We speak for ourselves. We are asking quickly as we land this for open access to art for all 19,000 people, or best offer. You know, when you're selling something on the marketplace, or best offer, we're asking for open access to art or best offer. Another thing in this community, people are, where's my clicker for the PowerPoint? People are also wanting access to food. I believe that if Kenrick and I put food on the table after school and at locations on the weekend, people will come and grab a styrofoam cup that may not be good for the environment. I don't know. They'll grab reusable cups, get some good soup in their bellies, paint a take-home little canvas or little keepsake. Like we don't need a once a year children's festival. Children need festival and celebration and intergenerational contact year round. We're better than this, and that's what Kenrick was saying. Also, open access to faith. Kenrick is a man of faith. He's a man of even deeper faith than me, as it relates to traditional faith. And that's okay, because I also believe that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek God's face and turn from their wickedness, that he would heal us. And all we're asking is for people who are in high places to release the access, resource, and third spaces. Kenrick was talking at the top of this episode about third spaces. We don't want to bring y'all in our house to paint. We don't want to go to the church and paint because people have been wounded in some spaces by the church. Kenrick has not been wounded too bad by the church to go, and I haven't been wounded too bad by the church to go, but some people just don't want to go, but they still deserve art because art is love. Open access to faith. Could you talk a little bit about how, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like we are aligned that no matter what our faith is and how we get to God or love Kenrick, that everybody deserves access to art under love and God, whatever that means to you. Can you speak a bit about how your faith, because they really try to turn you into the big bad wolf in this town. And I'm like, this is a man of love and faith and art. I don't get the lions, tigers, and bears of it all. Do you, Tara? I don't get lions. I get agitated artists for not being listened to in the society from him. I don't get lions, tigers, and bears from this person who goes to church with the gray-haired white people who love him. Shout out to them.
Yes. Well, the thing is, it's one of those things where it's like my faith and how I feel about God and all of that kind of always went hand in hand with everything else I did. So when I'm about letting people be who they are, and then like eventually like maybe like put a little bit something in their ear, and then eventually later on down the road they'll come around to like, you know, thinking about it more. You know, like I think when you try to shove it down people's throats, it's like it's not gonna stick, and they might really even like go the opposite way, and you don't want that. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm one thing that I notice is at the church that I go to, this pastor that I know talks about God and the word as passionately as I talk about art. And that's what makes me like really happy to and it just makes me feel good inside to see that and hear that. Like I don't care. I'm not an angel. I'll be the first one to say that too. Like I'm still getting, you know, like I'm not there where I'm like a lot of them where it's like they're really deep in it. Like I'm still working my way into it. But it's like it's one of those things where I'm like it's good, so I don't want to reject it. And then on top of that, I want to include more people. Like I'm, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at that, like I'm like, I want more younger people in that church. I want more Hispanic people in that church. You know what I mean? I want more black people in that church. I want more, everybody. Everybody. There's some homeless people that go to that church, man. Like, they will accept anybody. So it's one of, but it's about they gotta show up though. You know what I mean? So it's like I gotta, they're they're looking for, someone who can go out there and not shove it down their throats, but maybe just mention it. Like I would just mention it because when I was younger, I remember how turned off I would get about talking about church and like faith and whatnot. Even though I grew up in the church, like my parents always brought me to church and whatnot. Like I used to draw in church, so it's like I remember all the time when I was younger. But it's like uh once I got a little older, I want to say maybe college years. I want to say following like high school, like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, around that period. Like I'm not as religious as I was when I was younger with my parents growing up and whatnot. So it's like I was able to circle back around to that at around 29. Really, it was really like last year that I really like started to tap into it. So I think it's super important too. But it's like, that's one of those things people get really weird about. I think that it's so strange how uh people get weird about stuff like that, but will like accept like crazy themes and art and think that I don't know if it's a trendy thing or what. I honestly I don't see there's a community for everything, but it's like I don't see a healthy really dose of like, you know, church that's based around the art that's based around church. You know what I mean? Like art that's in the church. Like I've seen it before, but it's like I think it's pretty rare. Like when I look around and I see, you know, what's going on in the art world and whatnot. So I just think like I'm not I don't wanna I wanna be myself. I'm at the point where I'm like I want to do my best to be myself, and myself is I was always God fearing. My grandma was like, it's just one of those things. My parents are from Guyana, so it's like, uh, I know about the immigrants. You know what I mean? Even though, and that's I think that's part of the reason why I love Mexicans so much, more specifically because it's like when I see how a lot of those parents move, it's similar to how my parents moved. So it's like I get it. I get it. You know what I mean? Like that
I love
pressure
it.
to be more and whatnot. I get that. So it's like, but it's cool because I think I would not be so quick to speak up like I am right now if it wasn't for how I was raised and some of the people I was around. So it's like it's part of it. The religious thing is part of it, man. Like I can talk about that a lot too. I don't want to talk like I don't want to be the person that's always talking about it. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not. But at the
Yeah.
same I kind of come back around to that a lot because it's just like I don't know how people can live without that. You know what I mean? Like tomorrow morning, I'm going to church. You know what I mean? It's Sunday. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. I'm like I don't know how people can live without it, but it's with one step at a time. You can't shove it down anybody's throat because it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean it's an anchor for you, and everybody has their anchor, and we certainly don't want people giving up their anchors, especially if it tethers them to loving
Yes.
and being a
Yeah.
loving presence in the
Yeah.
world.
And
So yeah, and maybe one of these Sunday mornings, you sold it well enough on the pod today that maybe one Sunday I'll come and see what this fabulous congregation's like.
please
Certainly
do.
met a bunch of
Please.
different ones here with all kinds of crazy motivations, and that's for a different episode. But I would look forward to learning more about your community and hearing this passionate pastor to connect art for all ages. We got to our last slide, you guys. It was under an hour, and we did it. Tell us, Kenrick, and we're going to have you back on next week, week after that, to give us progress and updates on how this is flowing. Could you encapsulate for us in your mind's eye what you see for this community as it relates to the idea of art for all ages? I can tell you, for me, it's interdisciplinary, intergenerational community choir, love and truth community choir, people learning music and falling in love with music in the ways that I did, single digits as a kid singing in the church. So I'm a church boy, like you as well. Jesus is a friend of mine, never too far away. And but as it relates to providing art to this community, what does it mean to you to provide art for all ages? And where do you see some open doors in the next 3 months in 27292?
Well, I see a lot of different people that are doing their own thing. Davidson County is very segregated, unfortunately. Full of amazing, loving people, but the structure is still very similar to how it was even now in 2025. So there's barriers there, but like there's people that don't let those barriers get in the way. The thing is, we have to reach them. So it's like there's people, there's so much talent in this city, in this area. I think of Lexington Middle School. I think of North Davidson. I think of East Davidson. I think of South Davidson. I love South Davidson. Denton, the Denton area. See, it's
What's
one.
what's so special about South Davidson to you? I've never heard someone light up about it. What's so special about it to you? What flavor is that?
The thing about it, first of all, there's a Kimberly Wyatt that is the teacher there. She's the art teacher at South Davidson, and she is incredible, amazing, amazing, amazing teacher. And it's teachers like that that make me think. Even though I always kind of rejected it, and I was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be I want to be the fine artist. I want to be, Picasso. I want to be Van Gogh. That kind of teacher make me think, okay, I don't think being a teacher would be that bad. Like, I could be the fine artist on the side with that, because it's like the way she glows and how the students respond to her. It's like I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, you're really changing people's lives, like clearly every single day. So South Davidson, like, a Denton has like this what's the word? It's like this rumor that people kind of came up with a long time ago. And there's a history there. Like there's history in a lot of different places. But it's like,
What's the rumor?
It's just a rumor where it's just like, there's been like race issues and stuff like that there, like things happen. But it's when so like when you go to a school that's in that area, you have your own conceptions from young. Cause like I went to Lexington, and it's like you can act, you know what I mean? Like there's that misconception that you have in your head. There's that thing that you have in your head, like, okay, this is not the inner city school. This is really like the opposite of that. You know what I mean? So it's like you go, and then to meet this teacher and like meet these students, I'm like, oh wow, like I was so wrong. You know what I mean? Like I was so wrong to even like in my head for a moment think that it would be like not that. You know what I mean? Like it was, I went, you know what I mean? Because growing up, I'm thinking, oh, I've never been, so like I've only heard what people talk to me about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not from this area, so it's like I'm just thinking, oh, people tell me don't really mess around in this area, don't mess around in this area. But it's like I realized, man, every single person I've ever met that lives in Denton or is from that area is amazing, like a great person. So it's just, one thing I've learned to do is make sure that I don't limit myself too much. Like don't put too, because there's a lot of mental blocks people put on themselves. And I've done that for a long time too, with a lot of different things. I'm at the point where I'm not trying to do that no more. Like, I'm like, okay, if I want to make my parents proud, if I want to make some moves here in this area and touch some lives or whatnot in a positive way, I got to be willing to step out there and do some things. And that's where this conversation comes from. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to, I'm serious about what it is we're talking about here, you know?
Well, we're serious about you, Kenrick, and serious about Davidson County, and serious about us growing here. I'm going to wrap us up today by talking about what we are doing with Kenrick and community members to come. We're going to have Kenrick on consistently to talk about the moves forward we expect in this community. That every time we show up, we're going to show up with some receipts of people that we've met. We are here seeking to identify key community service providers and faith-based organizations and grassroots initiatives in our zip code. We're going to map those available resources to provide a clear, up-to-date directory for people who are in need here, including the artists that Kenrick wants to provide for. We are assessing critical service gaps. Tara talked about those earlier to advocate for solutions. No, we are not part. I'm going to say it for the people in the back. Kenrick, Tara, and I are not part of the problem, boo-boo. We are the solution. We are solutions by ourselves, and we are a problem for you together. I'm letting you know. We have assessed the critical service gaps, and we are advocates for solutions. Do not believe the riffraff. We are the true medicine in this ashy place. Loved and lovable. So we're going to address the most pressing issues. We want to connect with individuals. And we want to connect them also with the appropriate resources through relational outreach and the digital tools. Kenrick said last night, yo, I know you're capable, Flo, of jumping on a live and taking a Zoom call into the world. Can we do it? I said, man, we got the digital tools. Let's go. You want to do it tomorrow or a week from now? He said, let's go tomorrow. And he did great. Why? Because Kenrick wants to connect with y'all, and y'all want to connect with him. Stop playing. Everybody is a fan. And number 5, we want to empower the community by fostering collaboration. Tara talked about it earlier. This T word that sends them for the heels, transparency. Kenrick is not, he doesn't strike me as a person that's trying to like hide what he's doing. Neither am I. We're transparent people. We just want to put art on the table and food on the table for people the way that Jesus did, and bring sustainable solutions. And I've got personal questions. Don't charge them to Kenrick. Don't charge them to Tara. Here are mine. Where are the resources for artists, creatives, and dreamers in Davidson County? Where is Jesus actually in this ashy motherfucker called Lexington, North Carolina? Who are the neglected yet talented artists and creatives in Lexington, North Carolina? Which support networks are the most...
Read that question again. Number 3, please. Number 3, one more time. One more time.
Who are the neglected yet talented artists and creatives in Lexington, North Carolina?
If it's you, or if you know someone, go to lovedandlovable.bio.link, 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 live chat us, send us an email, ask drflo@gmail.com, and let's get connected and actually build the community to help the talented and the creatives. Okay, continue on.
Man, I've sat at my bedside like all of y'all so many nights crying about like how can I be more creative and how can I uplift myself in my art. This is real for me. I know what it's like to be neglected yet talented. We want to meet all of you and do something special grassroots. We have it in our hands. And the money will come in. The money will come after we show them that we're serious. Another question. Which support networks are the most inclusive? Where is justice for Charles McNair, and where are his people beyond the photos y'all put on the internet? A photo ain't gonna do nothing that we need to do in a boardroom. A photo ain't gonna do nothing that we can do on a group call. And until we have group calls for that man to get out of jail and all other unliberated people, you know, liberation comes at all kinds of levels, people. It ain't just about justice for him. It's about justice for Kenrick, justice for me, justice for Tara. You know, when one of us is in chains, all of us are in chains, and we feel it if we have an empathetic heart. Last thing, why do the Black leaders of Lexington, North Carolina seem standoffish? You don't have to answer none of these today. We're going to work together as a team over the next few weeks and months to get answers. And I look forward to reporting back on the standoffish leaders, where the justice is for us, where the support networks are the most inclusive of all of God's children, red and yellow, black and white, precious. Tara highlighted this. Who are the neglected yet talented artists and creatives here? We want to give you air hugs and real ones and put paintbrushes and microphones in your hands so you can paint and tell your own story. I told Kenrick earlier in the week when we were consulting and supporting one another, he was asking me for pieces of his storytelling, and I was like, dude, you go in there and you tell your story, and as long as you tell them about the love and the truth, I'm gonna back you. Just say it, and I got you, because it's so important that people feel like they can do it for themselves, that the keys to their future is in their hands and they're turning the key on the door. Where is Jesus actually here? Because if you'll know a tree by the fruit it bears. And so I want to continue to see that fruit in the community, and I will ask the people and lean in on that. And then lastly, I went from bottom to the top. Where are the resources for artists, creatives, and dreamers in Davidson County? Closing thoughts to the panel today. We got 2 more slots available, so I'm going to be inviting some other leaders like Kenrick to just come, and we're just going to workshop this in public. I'm going to be chopping up pieces of this and sliding it across the desk of the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and anybody else who will hear us here, because we really are loved and lovable. And because we are loved and lovable, we deserve everything. I'm going to pass it to Kenrick and then let Tara close it out, since I lost my microphone at the top, because she can be the bookend.
Okay. I just want to say thank you again for your time and your effort, because this is just amazing. I don't see this dying down. I see this just picking up and being something that could be amazing for a lot of different people. I'm excited and I'm pumped, because I know for a fact I'm not alone. You know what I mean? So we're in it together. You know, we don't have to talk. We don't have to speak every single day, but just know that I'm rooting for you. You know, when you get frustrated or when I get frustrated, we can be that person that we lean on in those period of times before we lash out. You know what I mean? This is about growth. You know, I'm not trying to destroy anybody. You know, I want to make that very clear, because I think that that's something that gets kind of put on people that look like us often, where it's like we want to be these aggressors. That's not the case. I'm just passionate. I know Dr. Flo is passionate. So
Wait, brother. You know what you made? You know what you made? I'm gonna let you land as always. Always the largest piece of chicken for you if you eat chicken. I was in the grocery store in the Food Lion here, and I love her now. Her name is Bobby Sue. Remember Bobby Sue, Tara? You would hear her on the phone with me when I went over to Food Lion. Anyway, one day I'm in line and I'm talking to Tara on the phone, and I'm like, yeah, and then we're gonna do the show, and then we're gonna sing the song. And she's like, why are you so mad and angry? I'm like, I'm not angry. This is passion. This is passion. Who are you? Give me a hug. This is passion.
right.
We're not angry. We're passionate.
Yes. Yeah, you get it. So yeah, it's a beautiful life. I think 2025, Lexington, North Carolina is the place to be. So, you know, the growth that's coming here and whatnot, the people that are here, the people that are invested, we're just going to get more people invested. You know, so like this is the place we're focusing on. I think it's going to be pretty amazing. And I thank you. So thank you.
Oh, we thank you. And just so y'all know, Lexington, North Carolina is a place to be, but Kenrick Jobe is an international name. He will be the bridge from Lexington, North Carolina to New York, to London, to Paris. Like he is a bridge, and he's a bridge builder. And anybody who's not trying to see it simply ain't trying to see it. But he is loved and lovable. He's a child of God. He's a man of God. And all things are possible to those who believe.
Thank you, brother.
All things. You're
you.
welcome. I really do love you for real. I'll give you a hard time behind the scenes, and we light each other up because we're both Aquariuses. But when I say that we are a dynamic duo and the power of 3 with Tara today, just it's going to set us free. I love you too. Tara, close us out.
Okay.
Well, your closing thoughts and then close us out. What do you think about all of this hullabaloo?
Hush your mouth, child. Damn. Let the biracial speak, okay? Anyway, what I was gonna say is, y'all, I think one of the things that I have heard from various people in Lexington is feeling alone and feeling that you have no power. And I just want to encourage in every community that you find the people and you coalesce around whatever that issue is, right? Or whatever that passion is, where one or two are gathered. That is enough. That is enough. That is a community. That is what moves the world. Where one or two are gathered. You don't have to gather 25,000. You don't got to gather 1 million. You got to gather your neighbor, right? You got to gather your friend. You got to go to a show. You got to go to Costco together. I was just texting my friend this morning and I said, yo, you got a Costco membership? She said, yeah. I said, girl, we both don't have big families. Do you want to go together and split some stuff up? She was like, yes. I was like, great. Do you want to go every other week? Yes. Okay. So like, build your communities, y'all. Don't be scared of that. Don't sit in that disempowered space. The only thing that moves that aside is by actually taking action. It's by actually talking to people. It's by actually connecting to people. We live in a world that purposefully disconnects us and purposefully disempowers us. We're healing that at Love and Action Network. We're healing that in Lexington. We're healing that Kenrick Jobe. We are healing that in 2025. And with that, from all of us here at Love and Action Network, including Kenrick, at Andre and the Flow, at Poppy Wada 33, at Tara Priolo Studio, and of course, awesome Angie Enterprises and Novelties. Continue to be anti-racist, be safe, wear a mask, make good trouble, do good work. Happy birthday, John Lewis. Joy is the revolution. Step into it and belong to it. You are loved and lovable, and nobody can change that. And we'll see you next time.